Hello everybody, welcome to another watercolor tutorial. Today's tutorial is inspired by Fatma's sketchbook. I will include it in the description as always. And it's going to be a beautiful beach scene. So I'm trying to figure out how to tackle this, to be honest, because usually when I look at a photo, I always look at a photo. I hardly ever look at tutorials of other people, and I have to kind of decipher the order in which I'm going to paint it. And I really should do it beforehand. But I'm not very good at that. Okay, we are going to start with, so there's going to be, no, we're going to start with the rocks because that will kind of set the scene of where we paint everything else. As usual, I have no room on my palette because I just love to make use of the whole thing and just spread watercolor everywhere. So I'm just wiping a section off at the top here. I like to leave the green because I use green in almost every every painting. And why would I clean off good green watercolor when I could just add some water and I've got green? So for these rocks that we're painting, I'm mixing gray with brown. You can add some black in there as well if you would like, just to, because my gray is very warm, I guess you could say. But anyways, so let's see, we're gonna have a big boulder up here and our horizon line is gonna be basically right in the center. And our rocks are just going to come up on the sides of our horizon line, which is the ocean. So the other decision I made was to not have a taped off border, simply because I don't think this painting requires it, and I've been doing it for so many paintings, it does get a little tedious to have to tape all the sides. I don't enjoy the process. I'm just kind of very lightly running the end of my brush along the outside because I want my rock to appear jaggedy. And we are going to kind of fade it into a little bit of black. Add some black there, and then that is going to fade into brown. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, I don't really know what this brown is, but it's in the painting that I'm looking at. I don't know what would be brown under a rock when it's in water, but you don't have to add brown, by the way. If you're like, this does not make sense, I am with you. This does not make sense. Okay, I want my rock to protrude a little bit more than it is past the whatever that brown stuff is supposed to be. I don't know what's going on there, but that's okay. I'm gonna switch to my size 1 brush for a moment because I do want to add that it's like a black separation between the rock and whatever the heck the brown stuff is. And whatever it is, it looks cool, so that's why I'm adding it in. But this painting really reminds me of Hawaii and my time there. Oh man. I love watching a few YouTubers that live in Hawaii, and I am so envious. Like, I wish I could be there and live that life, but it also at the same time makes me feel really like, oh, I see sun. It kind of feels like I'm experiencing the sun, because we got another 5 centimeters of snow yesterday. And I know you're going to be seeing this tutorial in June, so obviously this is not June. Like, at this current moment that I'm painting this, we're not in June. And it's still not abnormal to get snow at this time of year here, but I am really reaching my limit, you know, with the snow. Just feels like it's never gonna end, and I'm done with it. So painting this beach scene is certainly a little nice escape. Like, oh, soon the weather will turn. Like, in a month and a week, I would say, it will be warm enough to wear t-shirts, which is hard to believe when you look outside and you see the current weather out there. Okay, I'm gonna paint some rocks on this side as well. So I've got one rock that's sort of protruding. There's like a couple of layers of these ones. So it sticks out about yay much before turning into an actual rock. Just switching to a larger brush to cover a larger surface area at once. Otherwise this would take forever. Looks like it sticks out a bit here as well. So I'm gonna leave a little gap to make it look like there's kind of 2 rocks there. Okay. So always try to add, you know, areas of accent, whether that's a darker accent or lifting some paint off, because you're either showing shadow or you're showing light reflection. And even if it's not in the right spot, it will still look better than if it was just completely flat or just one solid color, I assure you. A lot of the times I just add random darker shades in random places, not because it's accurate in relation to the light surrounding it, but because I just want it to look less flat, and it usually does look pretty good. So, you know, take a chance. I do have a round rock here. See, I'm kind of playing with black and brown and gray and just mixing the colors and, you know, seeing where things go. And you can certainly do the same. Got one final rock over here. It's more of like a brown. This one even has blue accents on the bottom of it. I don't know if it's supposed to be like water reflections or whatnot, but let's try it. Let's see what it will look like if I add a little bit of blue here, a little bit around there. Why not? No one's stopping you. And it also looks like there's some sort of a green shrub that's growing out from these rocks over here. I very seldomly leave like white gaps like this in between features in a painting. And I'm not sure why. Maybe because I feel like it looks incomplete, but you know, looking at the photo that I'm looking at, I'm trying to mimic it as closely as I can, and it looks pretty good. So maybe I should try doing that a little bit more often. White space, negative space, what is that called? And of course, we've got to add some darker features in there. Lift some out for light purposes. Add some back in, like just play with it, see what you like. I'm gonna go a little bit closer. Perhaps that would have helped you earlier on, but okay. So we've got our main features down. Now we're gonna add the water and the sky, which are going to complete this painting, because right now it just looks like the rocks look nice and all on by themselves, but as soon as we add some nice blues, it's really gonna bring everything together, hopefully. So my water, my horizon line is somewhere here. Somewhere there, and I don't want it to overlap with the rocks. So I'm gonna do my best to kind of go around them. And this, I don't want it to be this blue the entire way. I do want it to fade out into even like a gray the further that we go down. So I've just plotted some gray there. And I'm going upwards because if I go upwards, then I'm less likely to bring blue, intense blue down. So that actually worked out quite nice, I think. a lot nicer than I was expecting, honestly. So we've got our water. Now, I do want it to have like horizontal streaks. Not quite that intense, but something like that. We can always go back in. I'm gonna go in, actually, before that dries, I'm just gonna take a slightly darker blue, and I wanna just very lightly mix that in the top and nowhere else. I just disrupted my nice horizon line, which is a bit annoying. Okay, so while that is drying, we're gonna come back to it in a bit to add a couple more like rocks and details and whatnot. We want to do the sky. So the sky is a lot less baby blue and it's more of a, actually, you know, I've been using sky blue and baby blue so interchangeably over the years that I don't remember which one is which, so that might actually be sky blue, but you want a more grayish blue and less vibrant for this part. And what I'm gonna do is just, I have like the slightest hint of that grayish blue on my brush, and I'm going over the sky and I'm leaving little white sections, and those are supposed to be my clouds. You can alternatively just like cover the whole thing and then lift your paintbrush. So like if I were to just fill this in totally like this, I can rinse my paintbrush and then lift off, or even if that's not doing very much, you can take some toilet paper and just lift off the paint with the toilet paper in these patches to make it look like there are clouds. Now, mine is very light, like I hardly applied any blue there, so I'm gonna go back in with it. With that blue at just the top part. I do wanna make it a little darker than that. And then fade it out. Like that. And then I can go in with my toilet paper, and in these patches lift off the blue to create these beautiful cotton clouds like that. I still don't think that's dark enough. I'm really tempted to go back in again and add even more, which I'm going to do. Because I do want it to, like, it's wet still, so I know that when it dries, it is going to really fade. Okay, let's try again. So you can go as much as you'd like there, but I think I'm okay with that for now, even though it's still really, really light. So what I want to do next is focus back on the water, and I want to start adding some rocky features on the water. So I want like a little rocky offshoot here. And the farther that they are in the distance, the smaller, like in your painting, the smaller you want to paint them, because this will help you portray distance in your painting. So like this one's gonna be a little bit bigger, for instance. And if you'd like, you can even just add some, like an abstract almost element. Pick up some brush and, pick up some watercolor and just very gently splat it on in some areas. So some went onto my sky, which I'm not really a fan of. So we are going to pick that up and pretend that it is another cloud. There we go. And another thing that I want to do is grab my handy dandy white acrylic paint for those beautiful opaque details. And we're just going to add some white accents to specific areas of our painting. So I do want to add some white features around these like rock things that we painted, these little rocks that are sticking out of the water, just to make it look like, you know, water is crashing up against them. So I'm just adding them to either side. And you can even do the same. I mean, we kind of already have that established with there's little white gaps between the rock and the water, so I'm not even gonna bother, but we could, you know, paint these white, very thin white lines on the water itself to make it look like there are ripples or waves in the distance. Like so. And you can, you know, do as many of those as you'd like, as many or as little as you'd like. That looks really nice to me. I kind of wish that I made my rocks a little bit darker, like the big boulders on the sides here, because they're fading into the water a little bit more than I would have liked. So we technically can still go back and darken those a little bit if we want to. I want to, so I'm going to do that. I'm just taking, you know, gray, black, whatever. And just darkening those a little bit, just a little bit. Like, honestly, this is probably going to dry into looking exactly as it did before we added anything, but then going in with my black again. Picking up some, maybe a little bit of brown in there as well. So I do want to lift a little bit out of here, lighten that up just a tad. That's better. I could also darken these, but I just can't be bothered. Oh no, I smudged these. Oh, when did I do that? All right, let's see if we can fix that. I've rinsed my brush really well, and I'm just like with water, gently, not really gently, it's actually pretty aggressive that I'm going over these. And then I'm taking a clean paper towel or tissue paper, whatever, and just picking that up. And it cleaned most of it up, like you can barely see that. And if you want to cover it up fully, you could technically go back in and drop a few black dots there and it'll sort of mask it and cover it. But that's basically it. I actually really like how this turned out. I hope that you did too. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this painting. Don't forget to hit like on this video and subscribe, and I will see you in the next tutorial.